Hi guys, and welcome to our wrap-up of Romance Week, which led us beautifully into the premiere of Outlander, by the way. I know all of you are so excited for me to keep talking about Outlander, but some of you are, and I can't wait, and I'm the one who's most important here. We know this, it's me. But one of the things that when I was thinking of this week, and I kind of wish I had started the week with this because I feel like this was an appropriate topic to start with, but who cares? This video, people won't probably watch all of these in order after this week anyway. But anyway, I got a question by a couple different people over the last few months about how romance terms break down. And maybe that's not the right way to phrase this, but what I'm going to go over for you today, I did research because I'm a badass bitch for you guys, and I wanted to make sure that nobody can get all correcty with me. I used dictionary definitions as well as my own smarts, as well as reading some articles because I'm cool. And I did want to get you the answers to this. That's not where the clapback is coming from. I just mean, you guys are so wonderful, but if this falls into hands of people who don't know me, and they just take it off of this, I don't know. But I am making this video specifically too because some of my friends have asked how you break down romance. And in general, how I'm going to explain some of these things, it's going to work for how you categorize all books. And then I have some stuff specific to romance because I'm specific to romance. No, not specific, but I'm partial to romance. And you hear me mention these terms, and maybe some of you are fluent like me, and maybe some of you, are just here because I did a review of something or whatever. But here we go. So the terms I'm going to talk to you about are what a genre is, what a subgenre is, what a trope is, and then what an age range is, okay? Because the question that sparked this, and I'll try to find the comment because I can't remember your name off the top of my head, but you sparked a lot of good conversation, so here you are. And the question was asked something about like, what was the difference between a YA contemporary and then an adult romance? And the way that it was like explained, it made it sound like you were asking how they were different or like if they're the same or whatever. But either way, it sparked a conversation about how when you say, let's say something is a YA historical fantasy, what all of those terms mean to each other. So let's start with what is a genre. So a genre, according to the dictionary, is a category in music or literature categorized by similarities in form, style, or subject matter. So to break that down is, that's the main thing that we're talking about. So romance is just genre, okay? That is a genre all in of itself. However, you can mix genres without it being a subgenre. Wait, we'll get deeper into that. But first, that's the first thing. So that's a genre. You probably knew that. It's a category of something, usually to doing with art, meaning literature, music, movie, all those things. That's a genre. Then we have a subgenre, which means a genre that is part of a larger genre, any word you would put in front of the genre, which I added that part. Literally, its answer is a genre that is part of a larger genre, because that's what sub means. But I added, so that means any word that you would put in front of a genre, okay? So that's what we're getting into, like historical romance, a fantasy romance. Even though fantasy is its own genre, you can put them together. YA romance, we'll get into the age part of it is what I mean, but like the genre is romance. Anything else you use to categorize it or put in front of it is a sub part of it, or as I'm doing a bad job, even wrote notes, or an age bracket for it. And within those, you can have all of those subgenres still in it, which brings us to age range. And so this isn't like an official title, but this is where you get middle grade, which is ages 8 to 12. YA, which is technically it's categorized differently, but it's either ages 12 and up or 14 and up, depending on who's deciding where the books go. And then you have new adult, which isn't official, but around here on my campus, we go by new adult. And that is 18 to 25, but with characters in a certain phase of their life. So either they are just getting out of high school, but have a risque or themes going on, like they're dealing with harsher themes and more adult things, or they're in college trying to figure out their life. They're having not first sexual experiences maybe, but more intense ones. Maybe they're having the first ones, who knows, or more intense things happening. Usually we pull in new adult when we're talking about sexual things. We've mentioned this before, but also it's brought in if they just fit in that age. However, this is where if there aren't sexual things happening in it, if that part isn't part of it, because there's very few new adults that aren't romantic, let's be real, there just aren't, because if it's not like a sexual thing, then you're just put right into adult, which is also 18 and up, and is basically anything that isn't. And there are even some adult books that have children as the main characters, but it's going to be focusing on adult themes. I know this isn't perfect, and the problem doesn't come from me. Please remember that. This is just like industry standards. This is how things are set up. It doesn't have to do with where we think a thing should go. I got in a full-on hot debate with someone on an Outlander fandom because I said that, to me, Outlander is historical romance. The romance is the main category of the story. And the history, it takes place in a historical time period. Some people would just call it historical, but they'd be wrong. And I have proof, and this is why my eyes are shining, not just from my light. Because the next thing I'm going to talk about is what is the exact meaning of a romance. Because guess what? There's a technical term for that. So this is an exact meaning of romance, which I just said, pardon me. And that is, in the strictest academic terms, a romance is a story that involves a mysterious, adventurous, or spiritual storyline where the focus is on a quest that involves bravery and strong values, but not always a love interest. However, modern definitions of romance are considered to have a relationship be the focus of the plot. Also, they have an emotionally satisfying and optimistic ending. So basically, since the beginning of stories, and if you've taken literature classes, that's something you focused on, you would know this, the way stories used to be categorized was only two ways. Either it was a comedy/romance, or it was a tragedy. So even if the tragedy had romance in it, it was called tragedy. If it had a happy ending, evil is triumph, good wins, it's a romance. So guess what, crazy bitch on an Outlander thing? Outlander's a romance because it has a happy ending, okay? They all have happy endings. It's a romance. So this means all those fantasies that you love, Lord of the Rings, Brandon Sanderson books, Harry Potter, they're all technically categorized as a romance. You didn't know that, did you? And neither did I until I did my homework today, and it's pretty fantastic. Of course, I know. So that's just how you categorize things in like a broad sense. There weren't as many stories when these definitions were very first created, but it didn't always have to do with romance. Is it a friendship? Is it a family? Is it this or whatever? It had a happy ending. It was considered a romance. It didn't always have to be love, carnal love, sexual love, that kind of things. It was happiness. And I love that. That makes me so happy. So the next point that I have on here is, okay, so while some genres stand on their own, it's still up to each library where they put things. So going back to what I said about like age range, that's why at your library, things are set up by, you got your little kid play section, you got the kids books, middle grade, YA, and then you have adult. And then within that, they're in genres, and sometimes they're within subgenres within that. And that's super fascinating to me. I really like that. So within each of these age ranges, all of these different genres exist, and these subgenres can exist within each age range, which is when you really start multiplying it and it just gets bonkers. So I hope that helps. And now I'm going to dive into a little more, and I looked up a few things. So I have, just to give you some examples now about what I mean, about what the subgenre of romances are. I have a couple different things to show you. So the top 8 subgenres, according to the Romance Writers of America, which we won't talk about them right now because they're going ape shit and we're just going to ignore that. But this is the top 8 best-selling on Amazon in print. So the first one being romantic suspense. So there you see. This one, it's written backward just because suspense, romance, you get what I mean. But romance being the genre, suspense being the subgenre. Sorry, lots of words right here. Then you have contemporary romance. So I'm not doing a total breakdown of like all of these now. I make videos suggesting my favorites of each of these. So when I make those videos suggesting books to you, that's not a genre, that's usually a subgenre, depending. So then we have number 3 is historical romance. Number 4, erotic romance. Number 5, new adult. So see, new adult is considered, according to this list, that's just how Amazon is doing it, because new adult, there aren't enough new adults to warrant their own age bracket and have their own subgenres within that age. New adult fits into romance according to the powers that be right now. Number 6, paranormal romance. And then for them, they have young adult romance as a subgenre, but they're wrong. But again, they're just listing these like how they sell. And then Christian romance. So those are the top 8 in print that you can buy on Amazon. So now I mentioned at the top that I would talk about tropes. So we call things tropes. If you've had your English and literary class as a kid, you've heard of like tropes and cliches. And the exact term for that is a literary trope, which we call a trope, is commonly reoccurring literary or rhetoric devices or cliches. So this is where we get into the nitty-gritty fun stuff, and that is where within these subgenres, within every story really, you can have a trope that's used. And if it's overused, it's a cliche. So that's where those differences are. And that's why you hear us booktubers say we have our favorite trope, but then we'll do books where we say tropes that I hate. Like I just made one of these. So actually I should have said tropes that are cliche in the romance genre would have been the snooty way for me to say that. Because to me, those tropes are cliche. Huh? Getting it? Because when it's overused or done badly, a trope, which isn't inherently bad on its own, becomes a cliche and makes your skin crawl and want to, rip your eyeballs out when you see it too many times. So within romance, the top 10 romance tropes according to Amazon are, and this is fun, I wish I'd had this, are friends to lovers, soulmate/fated mate, second chance at love, secret romance or like hiding it, first love, strong hero or heroine, reunited lovers, which sounds the same as second chance, love triangle, sexy billionaire/millionaire, and sassy heroine. So those are the top 10 tropes on Amazon. So, yeah. And anyway, the other thing I said too, you can obviously have more than one of these in each one. It could be a historical suspense romance, or it could be an erotic historical romance, often an erotic paranormal romance, or a young adult Christian romance. Like when it's a subgenre, you can mix and match all the things that you want within it. And that's not even talking about when we cross genres. One of my favorite stories to come across is when there is a fantasy romance. And now I hope with this video I've helped you understand then why when I read, I always say I want there to be a romance in a story. And I didn't even know what I was looking for until I did this research, because what I'm saying is I want it to have a happy ending, which I knew. I want everyone to be happy at the end. And now that I know that it makes it a romance, oh my gosh, it just makes me feel like a complete person and that I don't have to defend myself for liking romance, which we're way past that. We're so far past me needing to defend myself. But it's just so fun to realize that it's actually everybody else who's wrong and not me. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed Valentine's week. I hope that this video was helpful. Please share it if there's someone who's been giving you a crap. I mean, it's not like I'm, an actual word on the, like word to go by with this, but this is how like the industry sees it and how they explain it. And you can love however your heart's desire, where to me, Outlander will be a historical romance forever. You go ahead and think it's just historical fiction. That's fine. Wherever Barnes & Noble puts it, I don't care. That's what it is to me. So thank you so much for watching. I put up new videos 3 to 4 times a week. Sometimes I do full weeks when I'm feeling a little sassy. And make sure you subscribe and hit that bell. I do tons of romance content, if you can't tell, as well as I do read other books sometimes when I have to. Have a great night, everyone. Bye.